So today we're going to start with a clip from Puja Gurudev. So y'all can come this side to watch.
सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्।
Om Trayambagam, Om, O Lord, the Supreme Infinite Reality. Trayambagam, the one who has got three eyes, Lord Shiva. Ejamahe, I am invoking his grace. Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam. Who is he? He is the one who Vardhanam increases in me. Sugandhi, good fragrance. Good fragrance, good vasanas. Pushti, development. Not only health of the body, the beauty of the health of the mind, the beauty of the emotions, and the health and vigor of the intelligence. All these are in his presence and all is possible. When Sugandhi, when the vasanas are purified, my mind and intellect becomes relatively quiet. Quieter the mind and intellect, the intellectual capacities in you increases. Pushti. Pushti Vardhana. Urvalukamiva. Just as the cucumber. Urvalukam. Cucumber. Now cucumber, we have seen, is a tendril and the fruits come out of it. And the fruit is so beautifully built into the tendril. The tendril has no capacity to carry the weight of the fruit. So even if you have got a bundle on which it is spreading, it will be sagging because of the fruit. Generally the fruit will be on the floor. But the connection between it is so powerful. Like tomato, mango, even when it is ripe, a mango can be just touched, it will fall off. Every fruit when it is ripe will fall off. Cucumber is the only fruit that never falls off. Even when it is ripe, if you are not removing it, it will rot in that very same stem. Burst out and pour out his seeds. It will not fall away. By itself it cannot fall. My urvalika, my cucumber, my vasana bundle will not fall off by itself. The farmer has to come. And the farmer has to, there's no other way. So Urvarukam, oh Parmeshwar, Lord Shiva, the three-eyed Lord, three-eyed because he sees what you see, but also he sees something else. He who has got the knowledge of the higher. Please remove this bundle of asanas in me. I have purified it as much as I can. The seeds in me is now ripe, but the fruit will never fall off. The ego will not fall off. Cut it asunder. And I can't do it. The farmer will have to do it. The fruit by itself cannot do it. Urvalikamiva, just as the cucumber. Bandhanad, my bondage to the tree. Mrityoho muktiya, please release me from death, from the realm of time and change. Ma Amargad. Oh Lord, don't take me away from Amargad. Meaning, I want to enjoy that reality. Don't take me away from both, is the mantra meaning.
So we saw the meaning last week, and Gurudev's given us the summary. Trayambakam yajamahe, one with we worship, we adore, the one with three eyes. Trayambakam can also mean the one of the Lord of all the three worlds and the substratum behind all the three realms or states or consciousnesses. Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam, and as Gurudev said, Sugandhim is vasanas. Our vasanas is the smell as though that we emanate. So for us, our vasanas are our smell. And for him, the purity of his being is sugandhim, a beautiful smell. And the other thing about smell is that it pervades. Pushtivardhanam, the one who nourishes. And so we saw this first line in detail in last week's class. And then the reason for playing Gurudev's video this week is because it focuses on that second line, Urva Rukamiva Bandhanat. So Urva, as Gurudev said, is a cucumber. Some say squash. I guess they have the same style of farming. And so I read many gardening blogs this week, researching if cucumbers really do fall off their vine or don't fall off their vine, and when do they fall off their vine. And Gurudev had obviously spoken to expert farmers. So cucumbers will fall off their vine, but it means something's wrong with it. So when something's wrong, they'll fall off so that new ones can grow in those spots. So and if it grows to fullness, it stays on the vine. And if it continues to stay on the vine longer than the ideal amount of time, it starts getting bitter. And we've all had, right? We've bitten into a cucumber and it's bitter. And that's because it stayed on the vine for too long. So the farmer usually knows when's the ideal time to pluck it so that it's still sweet and tastier. But usually when this mantra is chanted, many people will interpret it as it falls off. Yeah? Because as Gurudev said, most other fruits do. And until you know about farming, you don't realize that the cucumber does it. And so in terms of why would a fruit fall off, again, there's lots of science involved in this, but from a spiritual point of view, when a fruit is attached to the plant or the tree, it's because it needs the nutrients from the tree to grow and to ripen. And when it's fully ripened, it becomes sweet, number one, and it becomes soft, number two. And now that it's gotten all that it needs from the plant, it let goes. But usually it says that the plant lets go of it. Like now I've nurtured you to your fullness, and now the very word ripe means ready to separate. You can now fulfill the purpose of nourishing. And And so, in a lot of cultures, like in the Jain culture, where ahimsa is followed so beautifully and so elaborately, they won't pluck from a tree because the idea is, and even sannyasis in the old days, wandering in the forest, would not pluck a fruit from the tree because the idea is then you take it. If you pluck it, you're taking it. Whereas if the fruit falls, it's given. And so I can consume it. And so even that violence of plucking or separating the fruit from the tree is avoided. It's so beautiful, right? Um, and so there's that incident in the Ramayana where Hanumanji goes to Sitaji and he delivers the message and then he says, Mother, I'm really hungry. Can I eat? In Ashoka Vatika, there were so many trees with fruits. And Sitaji tells Hanumanji, yes, but don't pluck. Eat what the tree is already given. And so Hanumanji, being the cute monkey that he was, goes to the tree and shakes the tree so that all the fruit fall. And then he listened to Mother Sita. um, Urvarukameva bandhanat. But this beautiful process doesn't happen. Now, this process is a beautiful metaphor for us that we too, when we are young in Brahmachari ashram, we are nurtured, right? Parents give us, teachers give us, elders look after us, elders bless us, the guru guides us. And so we are given and we are given and we are given, just like this little fruit on the tree, then that grows and it grows and it grows. And we meant to grow in sweetness in terms of our personality, our character. It's meant to become sweet. And when a fruit is unripe, it's also hard. And so we're meant to grow in softness. And so softness is compassion, kindness, love, empathy. Our hearts become soft. Our personality becomes understanding and accommodating. So sweet and this softness. And so then there's no need to fight, right? When we pluck the fruit, there's force. And even in terms of our first personality, when we're forcing something, like, we don't want it yet, but we think we should. And so even with spiritual disciplines, there's this immense amount of force. And so there's struggle. When in the spiritual journey, we think we have to be disciplined. And then, but we think of it as something that's a force and it's a harsh and it's a, or, we have to do satsang, we have to wake up early, we have to bow down to the guru, we have to. And in that sense, there's internal conflict. Because if it's a I have to, there's a part of me that's going to rebel against it, or there's a part of me that doesn't want to and feels obliged to. And so there's that little bit of inner conflict. But ripe, that softness of that personality means there's no conflict. And so there's the discipline is with ease because there's understanding. The surrendering is with ease because I see the benefits of it. Acceptance is with ease because there is maturity of the personality. Otherwise, we told, we have to accept what happens, and then we're like, yeah, but we're not at peace with it, and we have so many questions, and we're telling ourselves we have to accept, but actually we're not accepting it, and within ourselves we're still upset about it or annoyed about it or wanting desperately to change it in some kind of way. So the fruit ripening on the tree is a beautiful metaphor for us in terms of our spiritual journey that we should ripen. Yeah? And in fact, Guruji Swami Tejamayinandaji will use this vocab very often when he's talking about students. Swamis, brahmacharis, and that one's pakka, meaning that one's ripe. And then if somebody says so and so for such a job, kacha. Still needs time. Kacha doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means needs more time to mature. Maybe not quite ready for a particular task, or maybe not quite ready to completely accept, or doesn't maybe have that fine tuning that's mm, gives one a sense of ease. Really, that's what it is. There's the sense of ease. When there's ripeness in our personality, there's ease in how we act, in who we are, in how we engage with other people, in how, in even in our spiritual practices. So now this cucumber is used. Normal fruit is not used. Right? The normal fruit that will just fall off is not used because we find that we have a tendency to get attached. Human nature, especially when we're not ripe, we get attached. And we get attached to the smallest of things. And people will come to the ashram and then they get attached to their spot where they sit. Yeah. We get attached to a particular pillow that we use. We get attached to where we stay, countries. We get attached to people extensively. We get attached to people very, very quickly. And we can get attached to people we don't even like, which is also an interesting thing. Um, and attachment means we don't let it go. So the nature in us that makes us attached and not let go, we can outlive or overdo anything quite easily. So, a beautiful example of this is parents, when they're looking after the child, need to be protective, need to give advice, need to be disciplining, need to be. And then there'll come an age where they should let go. Now the child has become an adult and they no longer require parenting. But it's not easy for us, one, to know when that is, two, actually do it. So when we continue to do when we should have stopped, the cucumber staying on the vine becomes bitter. If it's cut in time, the cucumber is sweet. If the cucumber stays on the vine, it becomes bitter. So with this example, because it's an easy example to use, the parent nurturing the child is sweet. The child is appreciative, will be thankful, will be grateful. And then if the parent continues to smother the child, when the child's now an adult, it becomes bitter for the child and for the adult because the child's feeling suffocated and the parents thinking you don't listen and you not appreciating. And so our joys in the worldly sense at some point become a sorrow. So if you think about every single joy you have, at some point it becomes a sorrow. We only want it. We only get excited about it. We only work so hard to acquire it. And it can be a house, it can be a business, it can be a relationship. and then it's going well, and then it will give some problem. It just the nature of the world. It will give you some problem. And then there's the joy is replaced by sorrow, fear, um, anger. That's the thing. Joy is one emotion. What it gets replaced with, there's such a range of emotions. Yeah. And so, why does this happen? Because we don't know when to let go. Sweet turns into bitter when we don't know when to let go. It can even be something like exercising. People overdo it. And then some injury will be caused. But when we start, it's an amazing thing. It makes us feel better. It's healthy. It's sattvic. It's moving our energy. Amazing. And then when we don't know where to stop. Yeah. So, urva rukamiva bandhanat. Mrityu. Mrityu is death. But death means many, 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 many things. Death is, in a way, an end. And that's how we most often see it. Death is an end. But death is also a beginning. It's both. At the very same time as it is an end, it is a beginning. And so if we think about a person who dies, their body has ended and their journey as the jiva is now continuing, re-beginning. For us who are left behind, when a person dies, that body has ended, and our experience without this person in this our lives now is beginning. Because now we're going to have a different experience. With them, one experience. Without them, one experience. Yeah? So death is end, but also beginning. In that very same moment, death is both an end and a beginning. And so scriptures define death as change. Change doesn't sound as horrible as death, but that's exactly what it is. Death is nothing but change. So when a person dies, all that's happened is from being a physical gross person, they become a subtle body. They have changed the way in which they experience themselves and their world. For us too, when we experience their death, again, it's just a change. We used to having them, and now we change to customizing to not having them. And so every change is seen as death in the scriptures. That is not a one time event. Death is every change that happens, and so much so that we could say it's a continuous experience. Yeah? So death is not a one time experience, it's many, 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 many experiences, or death is not a one time experience, it's a continuous experience. There's this humorist philosopher who talks on death. And so to talk about this, that death is a continuous experience. So from the moment we are born, we start dying. It's, you've heard this before because in philosophy, this idea is spoken about. So we can talk about it as our journey of life, or we can talk about it as our journey to death. One sounds nicer, but actually it's exactly the same thing. Um, so if we think about it as a continuous experience, then at the age of 4, and I see this all the time as a teacher, death comes along and takes away all your innocence. Gone. Right? By 5, they already have completely lost their innocence, most of them, or not completely, but most of their innocence. Then around 9, death comes along and takes away, that part of you that has this idealistic life, and they become already rolling their eyes, preteens, giving you attitude already. So, like, that beautiful, innocent, amazing, loving baby already by 9 is a very different person. And then somewhere in between teen years, that comes along and takes away, all your self confidence, all your self esteem, and so you go through that horrible teen phase of awkwardness and finding yourself and confusion and a lot of tamas, incredible amount of tamas we experience in that. So death's taken away sattva, given you lots of rajas and way too much tamas during the teen years. Then fortunately around 16, 17, that's over. And then taken away your childhood. Because by now already you need to start thinking about what are you going to do with your life and where are you going, and start having a bit of responsibility. So childhood's gone. And so in this way it continues. And then the beautiful meme that this author has in his book is that congratulations, you've turned 40. I'll just take away half your digestion, and I'll just take away your firm muscles, and I'll take away your black hair, and I'll take away. And that's what happens, right? At certain ages, well, it doesn't have to be such a fixed concrete age, but over a period of time, it's not that we suddenly get old. We don't wake up one day and we old. It's a continuous progress. In fact, when we see people on a daily basis, we don't even notice that they're getting old. It's only if we haven't seen someone for a long time, then we get a little bit taken aback and think, oh, wow, so much time has gone, so much has changed. But change didn't happen like that. It happened moment to moment, day by day. And so change is a constant, change is a reality, change is a truth, and change is death. Urvarukamiva bandhanat, mrityu. Because of this constant change, what will help me stay sweet is my ability to let go. Please remember, the cucumber that stays on the vine becomes bitter. Why? Because it stayed too long. It was supposed to let go. It didn't let go. Yeah. So, the quality that this line is talking about is detachment, our ability to let go. Circumstances change, my ability to let go of what was and accept now what is. And we struggle with this in various different ways. So, even the example of we get old, we keep remembering what we were. I was so young. I was so fit. I was so energetic. I was so whatever. Yeah, whatever it is that we liked about our younger selves. Or sometimes illness comes along with age, and then I was so healthy. Relationships change, and the relationship was good, and then changed, it's not so good. We were so close. We were, in tune with each other. We were always there for each other. And It's hard to accept that today is not the same as yesterday. Mm-mm. Yesterday's truth or yesterday's reality, yesterday's experience, actually, when we logically think about it, has got nothing to do with today's experience. Yeah. Today, what is today. Today, the sun is shining. Right now, no. Or today, it's raining. Or today, it's whatever the weather is. Right? Yesterday was so sunny. Today, it's raining. It just is. Yeah. But yet, if the relationship changed, if my financial status changed, if my health changed, yesterday was so wonderful. Today, and then why did it have to change? And so, in a lot of um, companies where they do change management to help the company adjust to the changes, and in a lot of therapies where they do help people to overcome difficulties that they're feeling, one of the rules or the guidance that is given is to stop comparing myself as I am today to the myself that I was before. Now, comparison already is just makes us miserable. Because the minute we start comparing, we think they better in this way, they have this, they have that, and that whole the grass is always greener on the other side. I read a lovely joke saying that the grass is greener on the other side because it's fake. It's fake grass. That's why it looks so green. But we tend to, this is what we do with our comparison. We think that's nicer, right? And so we know this, where we know that don't compare yourself to other people. We are our own unique, beautiful individuals. Don't compare yourself. But we actually told to compare ourselves with ourselves so we keep improving. But that's different to what's being said here. When we compare ourselves to a past which has changed, if yesterday I could do 10 push ups and today I can do 12 push ups, I should be very proud of myself because I'm improved. It's different to saying, you know, yesterday the circumstances in my life was the relationship was a success. My financial status was pretty good. My health was at its optimum. And now today it's not. And then I compare, I'm going to make myself miserable because I keep wanting what was, and what was no longer is. And because change is a constant, we never go backwards. We will just never, ever go backwards. We've experienced that in our lives again and again and again. We just can't. We can't go backwards. Even now, with this pandemic and we've all gone online, and we're not going to be able to go backwards. Even when face to face returns, if face to face returns, there's going to be online because we can just never go backwards. It's just the way the world is, it's just the way we are. Time moves forward, everything moves forward. And so comparing myself to what was, which will never be again because that's the way it is just going to make me miserable. And the more I keep remembering what was, the less I'm able to embrace what is. And this is how bitterness creeps in. Bitterness creeps into our hearts and our thinking because I want that. And what's that? What was. And it isn't anymore. And so naturally, there's no sweetness in this because I don't want this. I'm comparing this to what was, and this doesn't compare. And so I don't like it. And so bitterness creeps in our thinking, in our being. But if we pluck the cucumber at the right time, it remains sweet. So what was has gone, and I let it go. So is that death? Yes, because something has ended and something is beginning. Relationship, experience, my youth, uh, a certain environment. And it's interesting that when we are practicing this, sometimes a difficulty comes into our life and it gets solved, and people are not able to let it go. They get used to having the difficulty in their life, so that when it's solved, they're still holding on to. But because they start to define themselves by the difficulty. I haven't seen a movie, but I know they've made a movie about someone who was um, suffering from cancer and then got cured and then didn't know what to do with their lives because everything was focused on curing the cancer. And now that it's cured, now what do I do? It may sound strange, but this is the way our mind works. We get attached, not just to good things, we get attached to bad things. Or not bad, I shouldn't use the word bad, things that are painful or things that are limiting and restrictive. We get attached to that as well. And then that will bring bitterness. It will certainly, most definitely bring bitterness. And so, urvarukameva bandhanat mrityu. May I let go at the point when I still remain sweet. And as Gurudev explained in his video, we're not always able to. Gurudev explained that the cucumber doesn't drop off by itself. The farmer has to come along and cut the cucumber. So in our lives, we have lots of signs that come to us that it's time to change. It's time to let go. And it might come, and it definitely comes in the form of scriptures teaching us detachment. Every satsang, it will feature. Vairagya is a great wealth. Detachment is a great wealth. Letting go is incredibly important. And so it's not that somebody has to come and physically pull us out. Just this knowledge being given to us is already the farmer coming and saying, okay, the situation itself will become so difficult or so challenging or so different that that itself is an indication to us. Time to let go. Yeah. And then the best way of us knowing is pain. What does pain, what is the purpose that pain serves in this world? Pain is a blessing because it tells us something's wrong. When will we get pain in the body? Something's wrong. When the body is healthy, there's no pain. And so if pain's there, why? We go investigate. And we figure out what's wrong and we set it right. As simple as that. Pain is just a red flag shown to us. Stop what it is you are doing. It's not optimum for your well being. As Swamiji's written a beautiful book on this mantra, and the example he gives in that book is sometimes we lie in bed reading a book, and so we're holding the book and we're lying in bed, and then after a while, your hands will get sore from holding the book up in front of you. And what's that? It's just to tell you, sit up straight. Don't lie in bed and hold up the book like this. That's all pain is there to do. Pain is just there to correct us. So we're in a relationship, and pain will be irritation, anger, disappointment, embarrassment, frustration, arguments. Why? Why does this, we love this person. We want to be with this person. We think they're an amazing person. It doesn't have to be a romantic. It can be our parents. It can be a sibling. It can be a friend. And then this pain is a signal. Something's wrong. And instead, what we tend to do is they, they are wrong. They are causing me the suffering. But the pain is being felt by me. So if I'm feeling the pain, it's me. Something's wrong here. What am I holding on to? Maybe I'm holding on to what was, because relationships are constant change also. Maybe I'm holding on to my stubbornness. Maybe I'm holding on to false expectations. I have to think, what am I holding on to? And then let it go. So, farmer coming and cutting the cucumber off the vine is not somebody actually coming and tapping you on the shoulder and saying, detach from your money, detach from such and such person, detach from Netflix, detach from chocolates, detach from. No, that won't happen. Uh-huh. Pain will happen when you overdo it and you didn't stop when you could. The other day I was giving prasad and the person said to me, I can't eat chocolates anymore. My teeth now hurt when I do. Time to detach. Right? That's all pain is. Just letting us know that some correction needs to be made. Mrityun, death. Something has changed. Something needs to end and something new needs to start. And if I don't listen to it, the cucumber stays on the vine and gets more bitter and more bitter and more bitter. And it shrivels up. And as Gurudev said, it rots. And we see this can happen to us. We get more bitter and more bitter and more resentful and more angry and more frustrated until we come to a point where I say, I can't bear it anymore. But I was supposed to let go. My not being able to bear it anymore is really a very flashing sign. I was supposed to let go of what I have to figure out, huh? I have to figure it doesn't mean I have to let go of the relationship, please. Maybe some relationships do have to be let go of, but some often it's um, points of view, it's expectations, it's the ability to adjust, it's the ability to accept, it's the ability. It can be so many different things, and that's the spiritual journey. understanding what it is we have to let go of, and finding the strength in us to let go of it, and finding the courage. And remember, I was saying last week, this mantra is about courage, because every time there's a change, we need courage to embrace the new that comes. Yeah. Because fear will creep in with uncertainty, and new fear creeps in. And if we hold on to the old, bitter creeps in. So and so this is why samsara is described by Gautam Buddha as dukkam dukkam. Why? We hold on, we get bitter, and we dukkhi. We embrace the change. It's scary and uncertain. And this is every day. This is our everyday. But and so is it terrible? Not at all. Yeah. Because we can still ripen and soften and sweeten through this whole process. And as we ripen and sweeten, we experience that sweetness ourselves. Our own sweetness is what we experience. And if we don't, our own bitterness is what we experience. We're not experiencing other people's sweetness and bitterness. We are experiencing our own. And so, urvarukameva bandhanat mrityo mukshi. Mukshi is freedom. So, in death, in change, in this constant world of things coming to an end and new beginnings starting, may I find mukshi, freedom. May I not get stuck holding on and get bitter. May I not get overwhelmed with the fear of the new and the uncertainty. May I be free to let things come as they come and go as they go. May I be free from the host of emotions and be centered just in Amrita. So Mrityo, Mukshi, Ma means no, Amrita. So it's saying, may I be free from Mritya, death, and all that death brings me, but not from Amrita. So I don't want to be free from Amrita. I want Amrita. Yeah. And I want to be free from death. And so this second line of this mantra is really focusing on this quality of detachment and acceptance of change. In fact, embracing the change, because in embracing change, then I attain moksha, I attain freedom. If I resist it, if I fight it, if I deny it, I become bitter. I stay like that cucumber on the vine. I lose my sweetness, I lose the joy, and I become bitter. But as I embrace it, accept it, and adjust with it, then I attain Amrita. Um, so this death, this constant change, which is death, when will it stop? And so Amrita has a second meaning. It's deathlessness. So this line, Urvarukameva bandhanat mrityo mukshayamamritat, also means, may I die to death. because it's a constant. Remember, change is a constant. Death is change. Change is continuous. It's a constant. It's a truth. Yeah. So, may I die to death means may I transcend, and the word is very important. May I transcend this reality of constant change. So, a nice way to speak about it, and it's a more Upanishadic way of understanding it. Never mind all the other changes that we go through in life. The one that is the easiest for us to see is we go from waking, dream, sleep. Waking, dream, sleep. This is a very unconfronting, right? We spend so many hours sleeping, we spend so many hours dreaming. We dream when we are asleep and we dream when we are awake also. We spend lots of time daydreaming. And so in our daydream, we are not in this world and we are not experiencing this reality. We're experiencing the reality we wake up in our daydreaming. So we experience dream and we experience sleep where this world does not exist. And we experience this world in waking. And so we keep going from waking, dream, sleep, waking, dream, sleep. And so our every day is this experience. We go from waking, dream, sleep, wake. And so that this in itself is constant change. And we don't see this as horrible, but it's constant change. And so death is not necessarily horrible, it's just constant change. And then there's Turiya. Turiya is a fourth state which transcends these three states and is also the substratum upon which all these three states exist. Huh? Turiya is that state that never changes. It's there in waking, it's there in dream, it's there in sleep. It never changes. It never comes, it never goes. It is the consciousness which pervades my waking, the consciousness which pervades my dreaming, the consciousness which pervades my sleep, even though I'm not conscious of it while I'm asleep. It's there. Mhm. But I don't experience this consciousness, which is always there. I experience waking. Right now, when I'm waking, I'm this body and I'm in this world and I am doing this and I'm interacting with all of you. I experience my dream, right? I want to be, actually, I'm pretty happy. I don't want to go anywhere. But let's say, for argument's sake, meditating on the top of the Himalayas. And then sleep. I experience nothingness, peace in sleep. And so I'm focused on what I'm experiencing in each state, and I'm not focused on what's there in all states. So, may I die to death is may I transcend constant change. Let me explain it to you in another way. In waking, we identify with this body. I am this physical body in waking. In dream, I'm mainly my mind. And in deep sleep, I am unmanifest. I am nothingness, or I experience nothingness, rather. Okay. And so I keep changing. Who am I? I'm this body running around doing so many things. I'm this body eating, drinking, exercising, walking, talking. I am this body who greets you, does this class. And then I'm this mind that wants to be hiking in the Himalayas, who enjoys um, flowers, who doesn't enjoy XYZ. Mm. And then I come back to being body. Then I go back to being mind. I come back to being body. I'm having dinner and I'm body. And I'm talking to you and I get excited about the new book being released and I am mind. And then I fall asleep and I am nothingness. I am constantly changing. And then even just as body, I am tired, and then now I'm energetic, and now I'm tired again, and now I'm hungry, and now I'm so full, and now I'm bloated, and now I'm this. And so change, 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 change. Even as mind, I'm excited, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm annoyed, you know, I'm blah, duh, nothing happening. I'm changing, I'm changing, I'm changing, I'm changing. Every moment, who I am changing. Even if I identify with one particular thing, that thing keeps changing. Transcend means above, beyond. May I transcend change. May I transcend death. Which means, may I transcend body, mind, intellect. Because body, mind, intellect is constantly changing. So if I have to transcend change, I have to transcend body, mind, intellect. Mrityun. May I die to death means, may I experience that which does not die. Body was born, it will die. Mind was born, it will die. Experiences are born, it will die. Relationships are born, it will die. Chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. What is born will die. For me, to die to death means I have to let go of everything that is born so that I can be that which is birthless, which is then deathless, which means it is changeless. Amritattva. That's what Amritattva means. Urvarukamiva bandhanat mrityo mokshi. May I attain freedom from death. May I attain freedom from change so that I don't hold on and get bitter. Mritya mokshi amrita. In my freeing myself from death, may I enjoy deathlessness, changelessness, where there is no fear, no bitterness. It's just sweetness and softness. I'm ripe, and with ease, everything happens. And the sweetness that I experience, which is me, I share with the world around me. Amritattva. And so the second line of this mantra is very poetic, symbolic, and extremely profound. So when we say the Maha Mrityun Jaya mantra conquers death, it's this death. It's the death of change and it's the death of limitations. Birth is a limitation, and body is a limitation. Mind and intellect is a limitation. And so this is in the most profound way in which we can see this mantra. But we can see death in a few other ways. And we can understand the mantra from a few other perspectives as well. And that's what's so incredibly beautiful about this knowledge, these mantras of the Vedas, is that they have so much in them. They have so much in them that we can just revel in the meaning of them. But we will pause here for today. And we will conclude the explanation next week. And then the week after is Mahashivratri. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? No? Chant the mantra 3 times. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandana Mrityun Mukshiya Mamritate. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandana Mrityun Mukshiya Mamritate. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandana Mrityun Mukshiya Mamritate. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sakhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Kabhat Bhavet Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Kamaya Mrityorma Amritam Kamaya. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.